evening, everybody. Good night, or no, good evening, I think is what you say when you say hello.
Talking Dirty
with Maestro.
Not just numbers,
Not just stats.
it's about what they mean.
I'm going to send to you the information.
Talking Dirty.
Hello and welcome to Talkin Dirty with your boy, Nick. Awesome week of games all the way across the board. Just have to say it. And there were two games in particular that really caught my attention, and I was lucky enough to call them both as they both went into overtime. And we got a chance to really see an opportunity for a game in which you can truly say without hesitation that 4 possessions on each side of the ball won and or cost the game for the other team. Bay Area against Lakeshore was a classic heavyweight battle. Two teams with horses from top to bottom. And I don't mean top to bottom in a disrespectful way in terms of the hierarchy and all of the other stuff. I'm talking about from one end of the bench to the other end of the bench, and you can start at whatever part of the bench you want to start at. Each team had 4 defining possessions. For one team, those possessions happened at the start of the game, and it happened to, wow, say that fast 7 times, to Bay Area. At the call of the game, at the start of the game, Trey Hyman, who is normally so sure-handed and so shot-handed on point, had 3 middies right around the rim that he took and missed. Now, I'm not saying that it's his fault. Let's don't do that. What I'm saying is him taking those shots meant what should have happened on rotation. And Bay Area normally does this. That's what surprised me. There's generally someone coming from the weak side to affect the rebound. And that did not happen on those 3 possessions in specific. There was another possession during a fast break, and I lost my sequence. Again, Bay Area normally so strong in transition. Moving the ball up the floor, ball goes into the rim, and they don't come away with points. Those 4 possessions in the first quarter set the stage for what they had to come back from later. Flip it to the other side. 16-point lead, 4th quarter, Lakeshore drive. And earlier, my co-announcer and I made a comment of how with 2 teams with that much talent, a 10-point lead doesn't feel like a 10-point lead. And a 16-point lead didn't feel like a 16-point lead. And there was something about it the whole time. Maybe it was my bias in thinking that there's enough talent on each side of the ball to effectuate this win, even to the team that was down by 16. And a lot of people said it was a choke job in the 4th quarter. And I'm going to just respectfully disagree with that because they played it the way I would have played it. If I was Lakeshore Drive's coach, I would have said, bring the ball up, take your time. We're going to get our shots off in the last 4 seconds of the shot clock. The difference was those shots, that a lot of them were good shots, were just not being made. On the other side, Bay Area played their defense, press not stretch, and was able to put sort of a defensive dome around the ball at all points. Took advantage of the rebounds, bring the ball up, quick bucket, good score, boom, boom, pow. 4 possessions in the 4th quarter took that 16-point lead to a 5-point lead. And at that particular point, as Lakeshore Drive tried to kick up the energy, Bay Area was already there. We end up with what? Tie game. And then the 4th quarter, yes, there were some shots that could have been made at the end. I'm not counting that. Not for the purpose of what we're talking about here. And what does that show you? How 4 possessions, when you have 2 teams that are so closely matched, could really make a difference. And both teams played strong. It was an awesome game to call. And I think I even made a comment of, in terms of since I've been in SimWorld Hoops, it was one of my top 3 games. So I really enjoyed that. Thank you guys for that. Let's listen. Talk about some things a little bit more. Get your little Z.
Thank you for listening to the Maestro. Want to get involved? Bring it.
Drop in discord.gg/SimWorld Hoops.
If you have the brain, join as a coach. If you have the game,
join as a player.
see the game,
Be
be the
the
game.
game.
Now, back to the Maestro.
Sorry. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back. And welcome back to Talkin' Durty. I want to talk about another point from that Bay Area Lakeshore Drive game that just is so impressive for both squads. Their ability to pass in half-court traffic. Mwah. Mwah. Just beautiful. Passing in half-court traffic is the equivalent of doing a screenplay in the red zone in football. You have no room. You have no room for error, and your windows are no longer windows. They're not even keyholes. They are needle eye holes. Old school sewing needles when you put the thread through the needle eye. Lakeshore Drive and Bay Area, they do that remarkably well. And that's for that, I have to say bravo Zulu to the coaching. To coaches who know how to put their players in a position to not only utilize the best of their abilities and their athleticism, but more importantly, being able to put their players in a position where they say, okay, I know you do that well. Let's see that happen. I know you do this well. Let's make a way for this happen. That's good coaching. You utilize what the player does well, make it work for you, and then what do? You build on it as part of the teaching process. And ultimately, just to say it, Coach Dre Pope and Coach Rasante Vance, mwah, bravo Zulu, hats off. It was all the kind of clinic that you want to see in a game like that. So let's talk about that passing in such a tight zone that both teams do so well. If you're going to pass, I'm going to make the visual just as quick. Let's do our typical thing. Facing the rim. I'm on the left side of the rim, which means the rim is to my right. And I have a teammate flashing to the paint. And I know they're about to hit that window in between two staggered players from the other team. I put the pass toward whichever player is not looking at me. And I put it to the back of their head, in the space to the back of their head, to the open space in between the two players. And I do it hard. Why? I'm giving my man a chance to put their hand in that spot to receive the ball. And with these athletes, that's going to happen. So that's the spot, the tiny spot that I'm passing to. And the fact that both of these teams were able to do that with so few turnovers in the paint just speaks to their ability and vision. And that spot, again, I'll tell you, it is super small. So how do we practice for that? We would do our 3-lane full court drill, but we do it starting at the top of the key with everybody standing about 3 feet from each other with 2 players standing as defense, tandem defense, stacked in the paint. And I would say, as we get used to it, the defensive players, I wouldn't have them raise their hands. They just stand there to get that motor skill together of how you're going to pass, because I'm passing at shoulder to ear level through that traffic. As the players get better, I then get the other players to play defense. Now, you're not as successful because both players are facing the ball handler. So you then turn the defensive players in tandem facing outside, as they would do in a game. and you do that same passing motion. That's one drill that I would use in order to sort of facilitate that passing ability. If you can think of something else, you know what's up. I'll let your boy, I want to hear it, right? Let's go and get it. And again, awesome game this past week. Going to keep talking about it the rest of this season. But I know, my SimWorld fam, you guys are going to give me some more games to talk about with some very sharp, shiny skills, right? You know what's up. You know your boy want it. And no matter what you do, especially coming up on such a long weekend, never let Jason Bourne borrow your car.
Like I need to talk to somebody.
Thank you for listening to Maestro.
Thank you again for checking out Maestro. Drop a tag below and give us a piece of your mind. See you next time.
Well, thank you for your time. Have a wonderful day.